Okay, let's talk about quiz funnels and how to create the best possible quiz funnel for your business that's going to convert at a high rate, meaning that people are going to opt in to that quiz to get on your email list and you can do personalized follow-ups from there. And then also that will increase purchases after the fact. Now I have 5 fundamentals that we're going to cover in this video. These are the must-haves. I've seen thousands of quizzes, tens of thousands of quizzes that have generated hundreds of millions of leads over the last 10 years. And these 5 fundamentals are things that you have to have if you're going to maximize the conversion rate of your quiz. Let's kick it off. First thing, and in my notes over here, I put this with 3 exclamation points on both sides of this note, which is proper attention. I cannot tell you how many times I have talked with clients who build out a great quiz and then put it nowhere, don't promote it, don't tell people about it, and then they're like, it's not working. And I'm like, well, who did you tell about it? And they're like, well, nobody. So there is this perception that, a quiz is going to go viral and it's going to get all this traffic and that kind of stuff. Really, honestly, where a quiz works is on your website, people who are coming to your site who are interested, but they need something that's going to draw them in and get them engaged. That's not just your products or your services or blog content. Like they're not at the stage where they're ready to commit to doing like real research on your brand, but they're curious. That is a huge percentage of people. The average bounce rate on a website is 98% or higher, meaning that like most people just don't buy on the first come around. Not bounce rate, but purchase rate is less than 2% of people will buy something on their first visit to your site. So there are a lot of people who are on your site, they're interested, they're curious, but they're not at the stage where they're just like, I'm going to go all out on this. So that's what a quiz is for. And if you're not promoting the quiz on your site very prominently, you are missing out on a huge amount of leads. So let me show you a couple of examples. One is from Crema Joe, awesome coffee company in Australia. This is how they call theirs out. It's a button on their homepage. It's also in their FAQ menu. This is pretty good. It's a good amount of calling out. But then the other one that I want to pull up is actually from Kay Putnam. This is what we see as the optimal quiz funnel, where the quiz funnel literally functions as the front and center of your website. Your greeting, there's a great picture on there that kind of draws your attention in, and then take the quiz is the primary call to action on this site. Now, what we see when you do this is that it often doubles, triples, quadruples the amount of leads that you're getting on a daily basis. And after, again, doing this for 10 years, I can call to mind numerous examples of coaches and e-commerce brands who have completely changed their businesses just by doing this and getting way more of those people who are curious to become leads. And then once they become leads, they become purchasers. Also, having an email list as an asset in and of itself just gives you a lot more clout. So this is by far the best way, but I wanted to show the other example because not everybody's ready to just jump in and completely renovate their site with a quiz as the primary call to action. So that's number one. Number two is answer the biggest question that your customers have when they come to your site. Now, this is where the Crema Joe example is great because their quiz is called Which Pod is Right for You? Obviously, that's the number one question. You're on this site, you are curious about which coffee you should be drinking. And we see that over and over again with coffee quizzes or skin quizzes, with all sorts of stuff in that industry, jewelry. So lots of stuff in e-commerce where it's just like which product is right for you. Kind of goes back to that jam study example, right? Where you put out 10 jams at a farmer's market and nobody buys, and then you cut it down to 3 and people start buying. Basically, you're just trying to cut down the number of product offerings because, if you go to shop, right, that's a big list. I look at that and what am I going to do? I'm like, that's too many options. I don't know. But then you click here and it says which one is right for you. So that's the thing here. And then for this one, discover your innate brand advantage. I mean, she's a brand strategist and she's helping people find their brand advantage. That's the number one thing that you're going to be concerned about. And I think perfectly frames it up here. So let's go ahead and dive into these. So that's point number 2, is make sure that you are answering the biggest question or the biggest concern that people have when they come to your site. Now, number 3, getting into the questions. We have a bunch of videos about questions because this is the number one place where people get stuck, including myself when I'm writing quizzes. It can be very hard. Now, the easiest way to do this, to create good questions, is to start with your outcomes. So in this case, which reusable coffee pod is best for you? Start with the outcomes, like the possible answers at the very end of it, like the results that people would get. And then formulate questions that will help you connect the dots to figure out which coffee pod is best, or in this case, in what's your innate brand advantage. So which of these brand personalities is best for the person taking the quiz. It makes everything so much simpler to think about it that way, where it's just, I'm trying to guide people to the best possible outcome for them. And you're not going to get it perfect. It's going to be 85-90% of the way there, which is more than enough. If you try to go too deep into it and get crazy with the logic and that kind of stuff, you can bog yourself down for years. I mean, there are literally people who have been working on quizzes for 5 years. And I'm just like, how many leads have you lost out on because you're worried about that 10% of people who might not get the best outcome for them? But here's the thing, is that when people don't get the best outcome from their quiz, they often just reach out because they're curious, they're drawn in from the quiz, or they'll just take it again. We have a quiz and we see people that take it like a few times, just playing with the outcomes to see which one they think actually resonates with them. Either way, right? You've got their attention, which is by far the hardest thing to do with any sort of marketing. Is like, how do you get somebody's attention, especially with attention spans dropping and dropping and dropping? So anyways, you want your questions to really just help you find the outcome and nothing else. I mean, it's very simple when you think about it that way. It's extremely complicated when you think about it as, I'm trying to make these questions into something that gathers people's attention and is fun and exciting and shows all these things. That's so difficult. Honestly, the best quiz funnels just ask questions that help you find the answers. You can throw some fun stuff in there. You can modify these as you go. Really simple to do that and not hard. So again, point number 3, questions that help you find the outcome for each client. Point number 4 here is this opt-in form. Can't legally tell you what to put on this because it has to do with data collection. We do have the features for following any sort of data collection practices that you need to follow. But the one thing that I can tell you is that you want the reason why you're asking people to opt in to be relevant to the topic of the quiz. I'll say that again because it's really important, and a lot of people miss this one. You want the reason why you're asking people to opt in to be relevant and connected to the topic of the quiz. So in this case, right, you're seeing your results and you'll get promos, interesting bites, right? That's pretty good. I think the one from K is a little bit better. I'm just going to scroll through these questions. Basically, somebody took your quiz because they're trying to answer that question, that primary question that is the biggest thing on their mind that brings them to your site. When you ask them to opt in, you want to say, I'm going to continue helping you answer that primary question. So enter your email and get your result for your Archetypes PDF Inspiration Kit. That's perfect because it continues the conversation around what it is that this person is going to be getting. See my results. And and the girl slash guy next door. I like that. That's funny. Um, and this is, a full landing page with the results, the outcome, all that kind of stuff. Really, really awesome here. Super good description. And that's what you want to do. You want the reason why you're asking somebody to opt in to be connected and relevant to the reason why they took the quiz, because they just opted in. They opted to take the quiz. And if they're interested in that and they spent on average 2 minutes answering the questions, that's how long people spend answering quiz questions, then they're probably interested in learning more. So now the last point, that was point number 4. Point number 5 is you want the results to be satisfying. Now, what do I mean by satisfying? I mean that when somebody is taking a quiz, it's because they actually want to know what the outcome is. The quiz is promising to tell them something about themselves, which is very enticing. We like learning about ourselves as humans, and you want the outcome here to give them that satisfaction of, here's what I can tell you about yourself as the expert in my field based on what you said in the quiz. Now, the same thing for the e-commerce example here. I love the layout of this one because it's so concise, and that is what we see in e-commerce. There are 3 pods of text here and a picture of a pod, and that's all you want in e-commerce. You want 3 quick, snappy paragraphs that tell you why this is the result for you. That's what we see in e-commerce. With coaching and courses, people are generally, it's information, right? What they're buying is information rather than a product. So there's a lot more in here. There's a whole description. You want to give them a preview because what you're trying to sell them on is more information, whereas what you're trying to sell them on over here is a product. So with the product, less information, more product. With the information product, more information, less product. And the funnels are typically longer with the information products, coaches and course creators and service providers. Again, because what you're selling them is information or services rather than a product, which you can just go ahead and buy right away. So that is one difference there between e-commerce and information products. So again, to recap, let's just run through these really quickly. Number 1 thing you want to do is draw proper attention to your quiz funnel. Even if it's not converting at a high rate, you want to know so that you can modify it and get in touch with our team to talk through how to make your quiz better, etc., etc. You want people to be running through it specifically from your website. Now, you can go straight from social channels and things like that, but typically what we see works best is drive people to your site from socials and other platforms. Then on your site, that's where the quiz lives and has them go through it. You can have, if you have it featured this prominently, then you can tell people to take the quiz and just have it linked to your site, which makes things simpler than they're on your site, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, answer the biggest question that people have with the title of your quiz. Number 3, use the quiz questions to help discover which answer is best for that person. Number 4, have the opt-in form be relevant to the topic of the quiz and give them more information about it. And then number 5, make satisfying results, meaning tell the people something about themselves, help them learn about themselves. And again, there's a branch there with e-commerce being shorter results and the coaching and course products, information products being longer results. So those are the top 5 things for creating a high converting quiz funnel. If you want to create a quiz funnel, you can go to our site. I'll link it below. It's tryinteract.com. We've been doing this for 10 years. We got a bunch of templates that are already optimized for conversion. So you don't even have to think about much of this stuff other than the proper attention piece. That's the main one that you would have to do if you pop a template in there. We've got hundreds of them at this point, and they're really, really great. That takes all this time out of it. Again, I've been making these things for 10 years, and it does take some time. So the templates make things just really, really easy. Definitely highly recommend that. Or if you want to start from scratch, we do have experts on call that you can chat with, and that's available for all of our members who have a subscription to our service to be able to create a quiz and talk to experts on our team to make sure that that is the best possible quiz funnel for your business. So those are our top 5 tips. Hope that's helpful, and give it a shot if you're ready to get started.